So here's a question for you. Would you benefit from ongoing support to improve your sales conversations and ultimately close more business? The Sales Maven Society offers you daily support for your urgent sales questions, an extensive library of bite-sized trainings to hone your selling skills, and monthly live coaching calls where you receive individualized coaching from me specific to your business so that you're able to remove any bottlenecks in your sales process. This is the most robust sales coaching program around for an incredible value of only $147 a month. And you can join now for your first month for only $47. You get access to absolutely everything, including the live coaching calls with me. Come check it out and see if this is the place for you to really elevate your business to the next level. You can do this by going to yoursalesmaven.com/society, hit the join now button. And then when it takes you to that page, enter this code, the number 4, the number 7, and the word trial, TRIAL. So 47 trial, all one word, and you'll be a member. I can't wait to see you in there. Now, here's the podcast.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. I am your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, strategies, and techniques to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call with the brilliant, the amazing Kelley Carlstrom. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. It's always fun to talk business and strategy with you.
I feel the same. I will say I have a lot of favorites. I have a lot of people I love. You are at the top of that list, my friend. I adore you. It has just been such a fun and rewarding experience to get to know you as a person, to see you soar in your business. And I often want to pinch myself because I get to work with the most brilliant, the smartest, amazing clients. And you, my friend, you might be one of the smartest clients I've ever worked with. You are so incredibly sharp. You're so incredibly gifted and brilliant at what you do. And you're just such an inspiration. So now, with that opening, tell everybody a little bit about you and what you do.
That is quite the intro. Thank you so much, Nikki. I have listened to a lot of your podcasts, and I know there's a lot of really smart people out there. So I appreciate that, the compliment though. So yes, my name is Kelley Carlstrom. My business is Kelley C PharmD. So that's my name, Kelley C, and PharmD is my degree. So I am a pharmacist by background, and I specialize in cancer, also called oncology. And what my business does is I help other pharmacists like myself working in cancer learn this very complex specialty. So I got into oncology pharmacy a very traditional way through postgraduate residency training. And there's not a lot of these training programs across this country, but there's a lot of pharmacists working in oncology, and there's a lot of cancer centers across this country treating patients with cancer. And so I'm helping fill an educational gap for these pharmacists that want to develop more knowledge in oncology, want to be the best resource for their patients that they can be.
Now, because you and I have worked together now for, I think, if I remember right, I want to say that you joined the Sales Maven Society 2 years ago, July. So that was July of 2021. You tell me if I'm right about this. And it was from a Christmas in July promotion. Does that sound right?
I don't remember. I remember there was a special promotion because I remember walking through your funnel and being very impressed. It was like a $1 thing.
Yeah.
And then I bought an upsell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the business, the business aspect of things, like funnels and strategy is always fascinating to me. So I remember coming in going, oh, okay, Nikki's got her stuff together.
I love that. And we have since, you've been a great member of the society, and you and I have got to go to coach together now for over a year, right? Like
long
private
time.
coaching.
I think
probably
it's
longer than a
that.
year. I'm not a good tracker on that kind of stuff, but because I was just playing with some numbers around Christmas in July, your name popped back up. And I was like, oh, that's how Kelley got into the group. How lucky am I? I'm going to say, for anybody who gets to benefit from Christmas in July, you guys can all thank Kelley, because I want more Kelleys in my life. So that promotion continues to kind of come back around because I can attribute it to, this is how Kelley and I first got to connect and meet and work together.
And if you see that offer, then you better jump on it.
Thank you. Okay. So because I feel like I know a little bit more about your business than I know about some people's business in particular, because we've done so much work together. One of the things that I want to kind of ask you about and talk to you about a little bit is this idea of how critical it is, this offer that this business really that you've created, of a place where pharmacists can come and learn about oncology. This is not something that is easy for pharmacists to get this type of knowledge, because usually the traditional way is a residency. And I know you said there's not many, but it's like, there's like 200. Is this right?
Yes.
Am I quoting this right? There are 200 residency positions available out of how many pharmacists are there that need to know this knowledge?
Well, that's a good question. We actually don't know how many pharmacists work in oncology. There's about 340,000 pharmacists in the profession across the country, and oncology is just one specialty. We do have data about the number of pharmacists that are board certified in oncology pharmacy. So that's a credential that I have. There's about 4,400 of us. But I can tell you there's more than 1,500 cancer centers across this country. And I know that there's a lot more oncology pharmacists than 4,400, because those are my clients.
Yeah, exactly. And so for a pharmacist to even be able to accept a residency position, it's also a significant reduction in pay. Is that true?
That is very true. And you have to do 2 years of residency. You have to do a 1-year general residency before you can even commit to oncology. So overall, the cost of residency is about $100,000 between what they make as a resident versus what they can make as a pharmacist. It's a big cost investment.
Yeah. Now, again, but the upside to it is to have this type of knowledge. This can really skyrocket people's careers, not to mention how many patients' lives they can impact by this knowledge that they can now get by going through your program without having to be accepted into a residency program. I mean, it's almost, the numbers are almost unbelievable, like what the investment is to go through your program versus this reduction in pay for a 2-year residency, and the chance of you even being accepted into a residency to learn and gain this knowledge is so slim. The chances are slim.
Yes, those are all true. The chances are slim because there's not enough residencies. People would have to move and relocate, which most people don't want to do. It's a big time commitment. From the time you apply for residency to the time you're done is actually 3 years. So that this is a big time investment. And I'm a big advocate of residency training myself. That's how I got trained. But I think we lose sight in my profession of the purpose of residency, which is essentially a fast track button. Kind of think about it in the business world like coaching is. You get kind of support from people who have been there, done that, and can walk you down the path faster. So 1 year of residency training is equivalent to 3 years in practice. But what we get into in my profession is we have this elitist side of the profession that says, oh, you can't do these things if you didn't do residency. And that was not the initial intent of residency training. The intent was to kind of fast track and get people up to speed a lot faster to take care of patients in these complex areas. Oncology is just one of many specialties where you can get residency training. So there's a lot of challenges with learning oncology, but there's a lot of opportunities, like you alluded to. There are tons of jobs in oncology right now, and that's for a couple of reasons. One is cancer centers are expanding. We have a lot lot more survivors with cancer because our treatments are getting better. People are staying on treatment longer, which means they have more toxicities from cancer treatment, which means we need to manage those toxicities. And pharmacists are perfectly skilled to help manage the toxicities of drug therapy, particularly in oncology with these complex drugs. So not only are cancer centers expanding, but we also have a lot of burnout in healthcare, which I'm sure a lot of listeners have heard in every area and are probably impacted in their personal life, how difficult it is to maybe find a PCP or get into the healthcare system. It's really challenging right now because healthcare workers are burnt out, and oncology pharmacists are included in that challenge, and they are leaving direct patient care roles, which is not great because they have a lot of experience and depth of knowledge. And we want to try to capture that before they leave practice and relay that to the other pharmacists that are taking over and working in those roles. So I'm perfectly positioned to help these pharmacists, learn this knowledge, but also it's just a passion of mine to get more patients access to pharmacists and to really be able to impact patient lives, which is every pharmacist will tell you that's why they went to school. They want to improve patient lives. And there's no better specialty to do that, in my opinion, than cancer, because that is the most challenging time a patient goes through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that you and your family have had some of these personal challenges just even recent, right? In the last year or so. So I know that there's been a lot that has happened. But let's talk a little bit about the programs that you put in place, because for a listener, you take something like what Kelley has is this specialty that she has, and now she has shared it in an opportunity for people to really take advantage of what you did, your residency, but also all of the knowledge that you have because you have been a working pharmacist for many, many years. I know now you have kind of gone all in on your business, which is super exciting to me as your coach. But this has really been a journey for you as you've continued to grow and do this. Like really, this was kind of a side hustle for a couple of years as you were growing it and still making such a huge impact. So let's talk about the different ways that people can kind of come into your program and what the offers are right now.
Sure. So the main program that I offer has a couple different tiers, but the baseline foundation across all the tiers is an online course format. And when I was initially thinking of how I was going to structure this business, I had some challenges to consider. One of which is that oncology changes all the time, almost weekly. We get a new drug approved or a new study came out and is practice changing, or a new conference just happened where lots of abstracts were presented and lots of new ideas. And it's a constant moving target. So when I was looking to build a business and build a product and a service and an offer, looking at other kind of online businesses gave me some initial ideas, but it wasn't super helpful in the sense that some people make an online course and are done with it, set it and forget it. That is not my specialty. So I had a lot of thoughts early on about, okay, how am I going to structure this if I need to update it all the time?
Yeah.
And I got some really good advice early on that said, don't build a business you don't want to work in, which sounds intuitive, but it's seemingly pretty easy to build a business that you kind of lose track of, a year or two in, you're like, wait a second, I don't actually like doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. So I made a lot of thoughtful ideas. I had a lot of thoughtful ideas at the beginning of how to structure this. And what I have settled on is I use my network of fellow oncology pharmacists to support the content in this program. So yes, I am an oncology pharmacist myself. I worked in patient care for many years, but I'm not an expert in every cancer, and nor do I want to be an expert in every cancer. But I know a lot of pharmacists.
Realistic, right? To think that you would be.
These days, it's not really realistic anymore. Yeah. It's super challenging to know everything. And so I have a great network. I've been in practice long enough. I've been at lots of conferences. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So I know a lot of other pharmacists that are working in these specialty areas. And I have tapped them. I reach out to them and say, hey, let's bring you in as an expert a visiting expert, if you will, into the program. So they help me review my content, and they also serve as a resource to my clients in the program to answer questions. And this is really important when learning a complex specialty like oncology, because what you learn from books, if you will, or websites or guidelines or articles is an important foundation, but it's not everything. It doesn't tell us what happens in the real world. It doesn't give us those nuances of kind of patient-specific issues. If somebody has problems with their kidneys or liver or both, the guidelines may give you some insight, but they can't tell you what it's like to actually treat a patient like this. And so those experts really can give us their clinic experience. I've seen a handful of patients with this, and we've seen this toxicity, and it's actually not that bad as it's reported in the study, or we see it a lot more than it was reported in the study. So those are the nuances where pharmacists can really learn from experts, but they also do need to build that foundation. So reading the content, knowing where the content lives is a really important component of learning oncology too. So my program is built on curated content. That means my experts and me kind of scour the internet and find all the great resources, websites, videos, podcasts, calculators, any good resources, and pull them into the course platform. And I weave together all of those resources into a story to help them follow along in a logical way, help them compartmentalize the information, to review little snippets, little pockets, because my clients are working day jobs and they only have so much time during the day to commit to this. So that's the general kind of overview of the program, is this online course format that they go through, and then they have access to experts to help support them as they go through that content.
It's incredible. And also just to see how it's evolved in the last couple of years that we've been working together, where now there's a certification for people who want to go through the program and get certified to say, I've completed this program, because there's really not a lot of other places where people can go and get this type of knowledge, this type of training, and this access to these experts. And again, what you have built is so unique and special. And also for anybody listening, Kelley looked at this business. Well, you're super analytical first and foremost. Like you're such a good thinker, and you're a fast thinker. I will say you keep me on my toes constantly. Just even the way that you frame questions and the way that you're thinking ahead of things. So you knew you didn't want to build a business that you didn't want to work in. And you also knew that it was unrealistic for you to be the only person who could train and give this knowledge. So you went out and you found these amazing experts that come in and share their expertise with these people. And the chance of these pharmacists who are going through your program ever even getting access to one of your expert pharmacists, it's slim to none that would even happen for them. And you're facilitating all of this. And it's just, it's really special. And I have such admiration for what you've built.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that the networking component and the relationship building is really important to me. That's one of my business core values. And I get a lot out of that personally as well, by making these connections with my experts, and certainly making relationships with my clients as well. But you're right. My clients don't often get to meet these pharmacists that are, working at this high level. They're typically because they're specialists that are, specialized in each particular cancer, they're working at usually the large academic centers. And my clients are typically in the smaller community centers that see all comers. Any patient that walks in the door that has a cancer, they treat. And so they're in the generalist model. And that's really important from a community oncology perspective, because patients in the community areas, whether that's rural or urban areas, there's community centers across this country in different areas. But when you're a generalist, when you have to see all comers, it is really, 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 really difficult to learn all these things. And having access to these people who see it every day is just a really important lifeline from a learning perspective, but again, also from a networking perspective, which I find very valuable myself, and want to give that opportunity to my clients.
I also want to comment too here, because one of the things I know from you and from our conversations that your experts get a lot out of being able to give back in this way and being able to share their knowledge in a way with, like you're saying, with what would be a generalist, like the fact that the idea that the expert would even have time or be able to facilitate on their own, being able to give back in such a large way to such an important community that is impacting every single one of us every single day. We all either take medications and utilize a pharmacist, or our important people in our lives are on medications and utilizing, a pharmacist and the knowledge. So that's the other thing I wanted to comment on too, is that you also are providing this really incredible platform for your experts to get that sense of community and that sense of sharing and creating legacy and being able to really make a bigger impact that will just continue to spread. It's like when you see when they talk about the network and how the little branches like spread out, like what you're doing for these experts is also really incredible.
My experts are amazing, and they really love being involved in the program. I have to say, when I reach out to people, I get a decent amount of churn of my experts, because once they leave patient care and work in some other role, then I don't use them in that same role, because I do need people that are taking care of patients. So I'm always looking for new experts. And every time I reach out to somebody, they always say yes. Like, I've had nobody who has had reservations. They're just like, this is amazing. I wish I had this when I was learning oncology. And that's it's an important component of my business mission, not only to support these pharmacists learning, but also to support these pharmacists in practice, because they are, as I mentioned, burning out at really record levels. And they have a ton on their plate. They're doing lots of different things. And I was in that role. I know that role very well. And what they often tell me that they leave patient care for is that some of them get bored with doing their day-to-day stuff, which sounds a little counterintuitive because they are so busy. They're taking care of so many patients. Yeah. They're juggling a lot of things, but they're also juggling like the same type of things. And so my program is very different. I make it very easy for them. I'm not asking them to create a PowerPoint slide deck that takes them, 40 hours, like it does if they're presenting at a conference. They don't have to jump through a lot of regulatory hoops with me. It's really just getting down to the heart of the matter, which is helping other people learn. And that all pharmacists love to do that, especially these specialized pharmacists that are working in these areas, because they're training residents and students in their day-to-day work. They all love teaching. And so the fact that I can mix what they love to do with making it super easy, it is really a very easy yes for them, which is good for them, good for my clients, and good for me from a business owner perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. You've really created this win-win business. Do you know how to recognize and act on a buying signal? I have a gift that is going to teach you these 17 buying signals so that you're ready when you get them to take action and move somebody to the next part of the sales conversation. You can get this right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it now. Okay, I really seriously could sit here and just pour love and admiration on you, because I am probably one of your biggest fans. And I just so appreciate the impact that you're making in the world. And this call really is a coaching call for you. So I'm going to ask you, how can I be of service to you today? What is something that would be helpful?
So what is on my mind right now is a launch event, and a different type of launch event than I've done in the past. So previously I have used a mini course as a launch event. So essentially that was a week of my lesson content pulled out of the program and structured in a shortened period of time for people to kind of get a taste of what the lesson content is like. And I've had varying success of using that method. And so I want to try a different type of launch event. And the goal of this would be to, one, increase visibility, and also to increase sales. So get people into the program. And what I have in mind is a summit style event.
Okay.
Now, I've come across a lot of summits being a business owner. I know you've been on a lot of summits, and I've seen summits that you're on. So the typical business summit is not quite what I'm thinking, because those are, different business owners that have different skill sets and different offers coming together in one place to help people that registered for the summit kind of do one thing, whether it's like about ads or sales or visibility or marketing. So the topic or the structure I'm thinking about is some process for different presentations on different diseases, because again, my target audience wants to learn about cancer, but there's so many cancers, and this summit could be, 2 weeks long, but it can't be 2 weeks long. So I'm trying to think through the logistics of how to run kind of a virtual summit in terms of like the sessions that I would have. And from a logistic perspective, but also making sure that it leads them into what my offer is. So I want to give a lot of value in the summit, but I also want to make sure that they know there's a lot more to learn that you can learn inside my program. So that's the general question is summits. And then kind of a more specific one, I guess we could get started with, is about the cost of summits. So there's like schools of thought of, you do the free summit, anybody can register for free. And then there's the, all access pass that you sell at whatever cost for accessing the recordings. And there's also a school of thought of not doing any free option and getting more qualified people in the door. And so having some sort of nominal fee upfront, $100, $200, whatever dollars, having them pay for access upfront and not having a free version.
Okay. So if that question right there, I think we need to test this. This is almost always my answer to you, Kelley. Let's test it. Let's see. So I would love for you to test a free version first. And that has the all access pass, component to it. So you could have it be, you could limit what the people in the free pass get. They don't have to even get all access to all of the sessions. Maybe they get to pick one session a day, and that's it. And that, it could be that, or you pick for them, because some of this is logistics too, of being able to work that out and how would they pick and all of that stuff. But, although I do have some ideas for that, we can talk about that, go deeper dive on that offline if you're interested. But, I do think testing a free, ticket with an all access pass or some type of a paid thing. And then the other thing I will say, having done a summit not quite a year ago as my own, and having participated in a ton of summits, you want to think about what the ultimate goal is. I always go back to what is your ultimate outcome, which, knowing you and your business, the ultimate outcome is giving people the offer to put in front of them to come and join, the collaborative, right? That's what we want them to do. And or blueprint, right? And these are Kelley's offers, so she knows what I'm talking about when I'm saying this. But I would like to grow your list with pharmacists, right? Because let's do something that's going to grow the list. And giving people access. The other thing too is you could help offset some of your costs with this by offering some sponsorship opportunities where you could bring in some sponsors that would, and maybe the sponsorship opportunities are the ones that the people who get the free ticket, they all get to participate in anything that's sponsored, right? So what does the sponsor want to do? And you could have levels of sponsorship. There's lots of things that we could drill down in there. The thing about having your experts, a lot of times when you're doing a summit, you're bringing in experts with the intent of growing your list using their network. And I'm not sure for you if that's going to really be the case, because your experts don't necessarily have a a network, like they don't have an email list that they're going to be sending an invitation to and things like that. So that's why I think for you, we might need to look at some partnerships, some sponsorship type opportunities, maybe with some of the associations, maybe with some of the bigger cancer centers or something like that, because they probably do have a way to promote and market that would touch an audience that you might not be able to touch. Because that's the thing is, like, you've done such a great job of growing your email list. You've done such a great job of like putting yourself out on LinkedIn. You know, pharmacists know who you are. And we know this because you show up at conferences and people are like, oh, I know you. I know who you are. I know what you're doing, right? Like people are paying attention. Even cancer centers are paying attention to what you're doing, you know, because they're reaching out to you and saying, how can we get this type of training for our pharmacists? So, but we want to expand your reach outside, I think, of what you currently can do on your own. And that means we need to find people who have access to a network that you don't yet have access to. So maybe I'm not answering your question, but this is where my mind is going. This is where my brain's going, is like, we need to give more people need to be aware that there is this program available to them, that they can come and take part in the collaborative and get this knowledge, you know, on oncology, from a pharmacist standpoint, that they can't get anywhere else. But the only way they're going to sign up for the program and do that is to be aware that the program even exists for them.
Yeah, those are excellent points. Thank you for bringing that up, because I do know visibility is the important. Sales are important, but visibility is the other reason to do this.
Mm-hmm.
The same with my launch events in the past.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have a really good following already on LinkedIn. So that definitely resonates true, to find where the other pharmacists are and who has access to them, and have some sort of sponsorship or collaboration opportunity. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I could see you going to some of the bigger like associations and that you haven't yet gotten in front of, and offer them, like, for their members to maybe get a certain type of level of pass. Maybe we have 3 levels of passes. We have the free, we have a mid-tier, and we have the all access pass. And maybe you go to the association and you give all of their members the mid-tier that would normally be paid for. And if they'll promote it, then again, you're getting access to these people that don't know about Kelley, don't know about the program that's available to them.
That's a great idea. Yeah, really good idea. Okay. I think the other component that, like, probably the most important thing I'll need to decide is what offer I'm going to make at the end of it. So I know you're a fan of making one offer.
Yes, I am.
Which is always challenging. You want to give people options, but I know.
Well, we can give them options on the offer page, right? Like we could give some options on the ones, but we got to get them to click to the page.
Yes.
So that we can focus on one thing. So we can work through that stuff, my friend. You and I can work through that stuff. But I do think that having one offer, it helps, like, not muddy the waters, so that people are like, but I don't know what to pick. Like, we want them in buy mode when they go, and then they're like, oh, I was going to buy this, but I see that I actually can get this other one. Mm-hmm. And this makes more sense for me. And then, you know, because you and I have done this, the people who don't buy, we send them a downsell offer, right? Like, we send them kind of the next tier down or whatever. Like, there's ways to continue to put offers in front of them. And we have done this. Like, you've been so great about putting offers in front of people. And we found that even without you doing launches, like, we still have sold people into your program, even without a launch.
Mm-hmm. I think this might be a good opportunity, and I would definitely want your feedback on putting my high ticket offer as the offer. So I listened to a really interesting podcast with Barry Baumgartner on Jay Klaus's podcast a while ago. So she does the events for Tony Robbins and, like, big names. And it was a really interesting, like, she broke down her structure, and, you know, it doesn't quite fit exactly what I'm doing, but it was a good resource. And her recommendation is that you make a high ticket offer at the end of it. So my certificate program is my high ticket offer. That's where pharmacists get access to all the program content, but they also get one-to-one mentoring and coaching from an experienced oncology pharmacist. So it's much more like a residency-like experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not
still
marketed.
at a huge savings. I just want to point that out. Like, it's unbelievable what they get for the certification program.
Yes,
versus
1/10 the cost.
Versus them having to go through a residency.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense at the end of this event to have that offer. And I haven't marketed it really before. It's been on my website. I've had people express interest, but I haven't, it hasn't been a focus of my marketing. So this would be kind of a new Kelley offer, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing to do in a summit or a not good thing.
Well, okay. So when we think about like, what's your ultimate outcome is to expose people to you and to the program and what's available to them. I think that is probably the primary. And yes, of course, we want to sell things. And we want to continue to expand your visibility in the marketplace with the summit. And I think you should approach the summit from look at how else can we then repurpose that content to continue to drive people into the program. So, my thoughts about your program is I would love to see you pre-record your sessions with the experts, because then you have really clean recordings and you're going to have them sign a contract that says that you have the ability to repurpose this and resell this in any way that you want. And so then you could have these different video, like you could sell just these one-off access to these one-off expert interviews, right? Or however you decide to do it. On their own, which then could lead them, at some point, maybe we're just leading them into the blueprint, or maybe, down the road after you get this. Like, I never want you to just do the summit once and never touch that content again. I want you to repurpose this content over and over and over again and figure out ways to continue to make money with it. So that's where my head goes, is I want you thinking about what else am I going to do with this content before I go into like, how is the content going to be laid out? How are people going to get access? What the offers are in that? I want you to think about what else you could possibly do with the content.
Mm-hmm. It will have a somewhat short lifespan because oncology does change a lot depending on exactly what they talk about. So they will give a disease overview, and for the most part, that's not going to change. But as they talk about treatment options, I mean, those could be different in a couple of weeks after the summit. So I have to be a little cautious with that. But I have been recently working on a plan to repurpose my Q&A call recordings in the program for social content. And I'm looking at doing an audio podcast feed, a private podcast feed for my clients, so they don't have to log into the course program and watch the video. They can get it on their podcast app. So that could potentially be a way to monetize it too, is, purchase the private podcast of these sessions.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that also makes me think, can we also look at maybe sprinkling in throughout the summit things that aren't going to be outdated in weeks or months?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are there some core concepts, some core teachings, some core people that you could interview? Because that's something that you can repackage and resell over and over and over again.
Yes, I do have a couple ideas for that. One is I brought in a mindset coach recently to do a training on imposter syndrome, but that was really good. She does another one on time management, which is always a problem for everybody, I think, but certainly pharmacists. There's also people that talk about the different types of coaching in pharmacy, which I think pharmacists don't really understand. So I think that would be a great session to kind of educate them on why you need extra support, which again would lead into my program. So I am noodling on some kind of non-clinical topics.
Okay, good. Well, I'm excited. Is there anything we haven't? I know you and I will go deeper about this, but is there anything that will be helpful as we wrap up this part of the call today, this part of the coaching call?
I think the only last question I have is about like the duration and how long do people like actually enjoy summits for, I've seen like Friday through Sunday or Saturday, Sunday, or sometimes they're 5 days long, which would definitely be too long for pharmacists because my clients are working full time. They have families, so they don't have a ton of capacity. So I don't want to make this too bulky where they're like hands off and no, I can't take that much time.
Yeah. Like it's so much, I just won't do any of it. Right. It's interesting because I was having a conversation earlier today with a mastermind group that I participate in, and three out of the 4 of us do a summit. I'm the only one who doesn't do one every single year. And all 3 of them were talking about the length of their, I think 2 of them, I want to say I know one is 5 days. The other one, I'm not totally sure if it's 3 or 5 days. And then one of the other members was saying that she did a 5-day summit last time. She's definitely going to pare it down to a 3-day summit this time because it was so much work. So thinking about how busy your people are, I think a 2 or 3 day is probably a good kind of place for you to start. 1 day might not be enough for, to get as much of the content as that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But you also might be able to figure this out based on who do you want your experts to be? What are the topics that you want them to talk about? And then from there, you could start to look at like, how many sessions are we going to open up in a day, especially if you are going to do it live and you want people to attend live, because you need to give breaks in between. So in that particular case, I don't personally think you should put on more than 5 speakers in a day.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely need breaks built in. And I think I'll have to make that call about live versus not live. I like the idea of recording the video. But if you sell the free option for people that don't buy the all access pass, the deliverable of that is that they come to the live thing and then watch either the live video or the recorded video, right? Like they can't watch it on demand.
Right. They can't watch it on demand. So the way I did mine is I did pre-record all of the videos. And then we opened up for people who had the free pass, like on day 1, all of the videos were open on day 1 for the day 1 speakers. So the people who had the free pass, they could watch any of those videos at any point throughout that day. And then for day 2, we closed day 1 for people who had the free pass. So then you could only watch the videos from day 2 speakers for the free pass people. Now, the people who had the all access pass, they could access on day 1, all the videos for day 1. And then on day 2, they could access day 1 and day 2 videos. And then they had a certain period of time where they got access to, the videos ongoing. I think we gave them 30 days in the all access pass.
Great. That's super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, my friend. So as we wrap up, because this is a podcast, I know we're going a little bit long. I always like to end with 2 questions. So the first question is, what has been one benefit you've received from being in the Sales Maven Society and or coaching with me? You can say from either perspective if you'd like.
Well, there's so many business outcomes that I've gotten from coaching with you, but I think what has been really interesting and what I share with people a lot when I tell them that I work with you is that you say you call yourself a sales coach, you market yourself as a sales coach, but I think of you as just a general business coach because we talk about so many different things, so many different perspectives. And I think you're the quintessential kind of person who's like multiple steps ahead of me that can give me perspective, like you even just said a few minutes ago, this mastermind group that I'm in, this is what they were talking about. Those are the little nuggets that really help me is your experience as a business owner, being able to pull those in and apply them to different questions that I have or different offers that I'm working through. And that perspective is what has been really, really valuable.
Thank you. That's so kind. Now I feel like I could qualify almost to be like your pharmacist expert because I do always share like, this is what I'm doing. This is what people are telling me. This is what I've seen other people doing. So I love that you shared that. Thank you so much. That makes my heart happy. Okay. Last question. How can people get a hold of you? What's the best way? Because even if you're not a pharmacist, and you're listening to Kelley, but you know a pharmacist who would like to expand their knowledge in oncology, please send them to Kelley. So how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
The best way is to connect with me on LinkedIn, Kelley D. Carlstrom. Kelley's with an EY here. And I share a lot of great content on LinkedIn. I'm there a lot, sharing little oncology nuggets and pearls. So it's a great way to get free resources from me. And then, of course, my website, Kelley C. PharmD, where you can send me an email and peruse the programs that I have to offer.
And we'll have Kelley's contact information in the show notes. So you can please forward that on, connect with the pharmacists in your life that you know will benefit from being connected to Kelley. She is a wealth of knowledge. And just as a person, I'm going to say she's an incredible, incredible human with an incredible spirit. So thank you for being here, Kelley. Thank you for showing up for this. And for you, the listener, thank you so much for being here as well. So appreciate you. Please reach out and share what was your nugget or what was your takeaway from today's episode. What will you maybe do as a result of listening to this episode in your business? All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.